Welcome to the Relationship Cycle with Jorge and Nelsa, where we discuss dating and other significant relationships. And welcome back to the Relationship Cycle with Jorge and Nelsa. This is your girl Nelsa, and hello.
Hey, how's it going, Nelsa? How are you?
Doing well, Jorge. I'm excited for our show tonight, Poppy. Single parents and dating. So this has been a really hot topic for us on Facebook. And we've got a special guest with us tonight, a single dad, Chuck, who's originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, now living in South Carolina. He served 23 years and is still serving in the military. He has an associate's degree in computer and electronic engineering and is the father of 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl, from 24, 16, 13 to the youngest, who's 11, who lives with Chuck. He enjoys the outdoors, do-it-yourself projects, cooking, and working around the house. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Listen, with an intro like that, we should have you off the shelf by the end of the show tonight. Listen, as the people are listening to this when we go to premiere it, you watch out now. Watch out.
We'll see.
Yeah, but thank you so much for joining us. We wanted to do this topic. Jorge and I, Chuck, also known as Poppy here on the show. I'm also known as Mommy. We decided we wanted to tackle this subject. Number one, I'm a single mom on the show, divorced. My ex is the father of both my children. I do have one daughter who's adopted, a heart daughter. But we decided, how many people may be having trouble experiencing dating out there who have children now. And it really can be just quite a juggling act when you have a family, you have work, you have all these other things, how you prioritize it. So tell us just a little bit about you, Chuck, and your experience with the dating pool so far, how you got into the pool.
Oh my goodness, man. Where do I begin? I guess for me, I can only speak for myself, so I can't speak for all men. So I'm not speaking for all men, speaking for myself.
Right, absolutely.
I guess I was on and off with the dating. But then once my son actually moved in with me, it really changes the whole dating scene for me as a father, because, I know a lot of moms probably think, as far as the fathers being single, living by themselves, they're like, oh, you just probably, over there living like Hugh Hefner and everything and stuff. Every night it's
Playboy.
And till the kids come over, you got to hide everything and stuff. But, you make the best of it. But for me, one of the goals was pretty much a lot of the women that I've met were successful women, had their own and everything and stuff. So it was, for me, a lot of the time I had to even the playing field. When I say even the playing field, I had to get my own house. I had to have my own car, have a nice job. With some of that stuff I had, I was like maybe 50-50 way. Now that I have my own, it's totally different. It's not the bachelor pad. I'm not Bruce Wayne anymore. I'm dad, so it's not just looking out for me when I come home. Now, when I get off from work, hey, I got to go home, pick up my son, make sure he's has something to eat before he goes to bed, make sure homework is done. He also plays football, and I actually coach. That's how I got into coaching Pop Warner football. But it's not just about me; it's about him as well, and along with my other kids. So it's totally different when you're actually fully engaged. And I get it. Some of the moms would be like, "Oh, well, the dads got it easy because they don't have to do 9 to 5 like we do," and I understand it and I respect that. So I'm not taking anything away from the moms, but in trying to date, it is totally different, because now you're looking at, okay, I want a partner, but I also want someone who's going to treat my son as if it was their son. And a lot of times we have totally different parenting skills. I'm military, so I don't cut any slack on my kids. Well, some mothers may be like, oh, well, may be hard to extent, but I've been around the world, 3 tours, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, seen a lot. So, and then being a black man and having young black men and a black woman, you see things and it's like, okay, hey, if I'm not strict in this household, then when you go out in public, it's going to be a
Right.
lot that you're going to run into, and you're going to be like, oh, well, dad never told me about that, or
Right.
mom told me about that. No, I have to get it to you now while y'all young, so when you go out there, you know how to conduct yourself. Back again to the dating thing, that's another thing that I look at. Okay, hey, if I'm not here, if Uncle Sam say, hey, you got to pack your bags, you got to go, can I count on that female to carry on what I have and what the structure that I have in my household? Because every household is different.
Right. And that's
So
a whole nother layer for you with military service on top of being a single dad, I'm sure.
it's a whole nother layer. So it's not just about the kids. Hey, if I'm away, money is going into the bank account. Are the bills being paid? Is the house being taken care of? Are the kids being taken care of? Are the cars and all the bills? Everything is just being taken care of. Even though I'm not here, but money is in the bank. Is everything being taken care of?
Right.
And sometimes, and I can say from my military experience, I've seen it where, guys go out there making this money, they come home, zero bank account,
Mm.
house is behind, cars behind on payments, things about to be repossessed. She then already moved out with the kids, took the dog, the cat, everything, and moved on.
Wow.
So you have to look at it like, okay, hey, are you in this to win it? Is this really what you want? Because if not, let's not waste each other's time. We can be friends, but as far as the dating, we're not going to even try to go there.
Mm.
So it's a lot that is on the table that has to be discussed, communicated. These are my expectations. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I want my significant other to be able to do. Yes, I'm a provider. Yes, I take care of the household. Yes, I'm gonna take care of you, our kids, because it's not just yours and mine. If we move to that level, they're our kids. I'm going to do that. But if I'm not here, can you hold the fort down while I'm going?
It's a lot.
It's yeah, like dating. I know from my perspective, I'm 37 years old, so the majority of women that I've dated normally have children, and I had to learn to adapt, because the one thing that I'm well aware is that when you are dating a mom or a single mom, you have to be okay with being second or third fiddle, because her children and family are going to be her priority. And if you're not cool with that, then don't step up to the plate, because sometimes for men, especially men who do not have children, which I do not, that can be tough to wrap your mind around, because you're free and available and you want to go out and do things and explore, and a lot of mothers want to do that, but they have to do that with still being mindful of their children and their family.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be respectful that, hey, it's not personal, it's just she has her priorities.
Well, what about for you guys? I'd like to know from your perspective, does it matter the age of the children if you're dating a single mom? My children, I've got one about to turn 16 and one who's about to turn 21, one who just turned 26 today. We just been celebrating her. Does it matter the number of kids and the age of the children?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That absolutely plays a role. Like, to
It's
me,
funny you're laughing over there.
You said how many children? Well, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Growing up when I was younger, in my younger 20s, I was like, I'm not dating no chick with no whole bunch of kids and everything and stuff. Then after I started having kids, I was like, you know what? I take all that back.
you come full circle.
Yeah, I take all that back. You live and you learn. As far as the age, I'll say when they're older, when they're older kids in their 20s, it really doesn't matter, because most of the time at that time, the older kids just want their mom to be happy or their dad to be happy, depending on the situation or the female that you're dealing with. Keep in mind your kids looking out for your happiness as well. So kids will see things that we don't see, because we may not be around. Like, hey, dad, like, when you're not around, she's doing this and she's doing that, or she's saying X, Y, and Z, and sometimes sometimes you have to realize, okay, hey, well, he may not be comfortable with her yet. Give it some time for them to grow and have their own relationship. But then sometimes, it might be to the point where, hey, my son or my daughter is telling me right. I might need to open my eyes and see what's going on. With younger kids, it's that you not my daddy syndrome. And a lot of times I've dealt with kids, not kids, in relationships where a female has had younger kids. And I was like, I said, hey, look, I'm not trying to step in and be their father, but when it comes to, I don't want to say discipline, but it kind of like is discipline. Hey, don't do that, or, hey, how would your mom feel if you knew that you were doing X, Y, and Z? There's certain ways you have to say things to them to let them know, like, hey, I'm trying to get to know you. I'm trying to look out for you. I'm trying to, be another parent or another adult that you can talk to. But again, it all comes to communication and everybody coming to the table and we sitting down and saying, okay, hey, we're going to take this to the next level. Yes, your dad is still here, but, he's here now, to take up the slack where your dad is not here on an everyday basis. That family roundtable conversation has to happen. And a lot of times in relationship, that doesn't happen. You have the kid thinking one way because he doesn't like the father because he may have strict rules or he may not have strict rules. But that conversation has to happen, and everybody has to know, okay, hey, where do I fit in with this puzzle for that happy family?
Thing that you say that, Chuck, excuse me, because we had several comments in our Facebook posts for Jorge's and mine where people address that. A lot of people were like, the kids come first. But we had one person who, talked about challenging that the child comes first notions, stating that it might not be the healthiest. And, even knowing that there may be times where the kids are first, but when do you start changing that priority around? When do you start shuffling those, those levels? Like, when does the kid come second to your relationship or what have you? But one of the things too was some people were like being patient and getting to know the person before you start getting into those conversations. Even before, some people are like, you shouldn't even have anybody meet your kids until like 6 months or a year, because the rep is always there, like the person's pretend identity or their um, Sunday best personality.
Sunday's best, I call it.
It's already in action, and getting to know them for yourself long enough to see how they are when they're sad or irritable or whatever the case may be before you introduce them to your kids was one suggestion. And I thought, what, that's a great idea. I can remember my own daughter meeting somebody that I was interested in and started dating. And for a minute she was okay, but then she caught a vibe that she didn't like. Well, little did I know her instincts were really very good. They say, kids and dogs have some of the best instincts about people. And it did not work out with this person. But I was kind of glad that I keep my kids as a priority. At first I felt like maybe she was just kind of challenging because this was the first serious relationship I had been in a while. And that maybe, she was just feeling some type of way because she felt like I was being taken away from her or something like that. But as the relationship progressed, I had concerns about this person that really troubled me. And I ended up, breaking things off. And I'm glad that I did not just completely dismiss my daughter's needs, because I thought, could you really be in a relationship with somebody that your kids absolutely did not like? So, question one, when do you think is a good time? And Poppy, I know you looked at those threads as well as I did.
Absolutely.
What were some of the other responses to that? And then number two, um, do you think you could be in a relationship with somebody who either your kids didn't like Chuck, or Poppy, you didn't like the kids, or they didn't like you? Like, do you think you could really be in a relationship with that kind of tension?
I mean, it's a balancing act because I remember the last girlfriend that I had. She had a 5-year-old son, and he was a sweetheart, a nice kid. But I remember one day I was holding him, and he tried to hit my face, and I told him, "Don't do that. That's not polite." And she kind of looked at me, and I'm like, "Well, what do you want me to do? Like, you want me to just let him hit my face? Like, I know I'm new into the picture, but I'm not just gonna let him disrespect my face like that." So even like
Right.
those little things
Yeah.
can kind of, I saw the mama bear side come out of her, but I'm like, what am I supposed to do in that predicament? I mean, and plus he's 5, like he doesn't know better. But to me, I don't have kids, but I know that the raising and shaping the mind, it starts early, because you don't wait to eradicate behavior when he's 18, 17 years old. You do that when they're young.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that. Even with my own kids hitting and smacking as babies, we never allowed that to go on. But people think that's cute and want to laugh at it. And then as they get older, they keep that habit going. And then, you run into strangers, you get embarrassed, or you think it's funny and other people don't. So, I always taught them, there was a little book that was so cute. Like, what can we hit? A drum. Like, hitting people is not to be tolerated, even at a young age, just because, other people hit back, other kids hit back. And you don't want your kids being subjected to that, of course. Uh, so I'm guessing that relationship, did it deteriorate because of the child's, because of that little bump with the child, or
It
were
didn't.
there
I
other
mean,
factors?
I think once the emotion kind of went away and the mama bear instincts kind of cooled off, she understood where I was coming from with that. But also another dynamic with this, I remember you mentioning about the ages of the children, and I wanted to circle back on that, because to me, if a woman has infants or toddlers, right? um there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that happens. Then to me, my curiosity would be, okay, do you have family or someone you can trust that would be able to take care of them while we have some private time or alone time? Because if you do, then hey, we can figure it out, right? We can make time for each other. But if you have a woman who has young children that require supervision or whatnot, like, close supervision, and she doesn't have that support system or doesn't feel comfortable with the babysitter, then how exactly are you going to get to know this woman?
Right.
And
Chuck?
Yeah, I would say I did have one relationship. I was dating a female. She had 4 daughters. And I remember going over to her house one day, and the oldest daughter was there with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend brought his friend with him over to the house, and she allowed her boyfriend to come over, but the friend was there as well. And I told the mom, I didn't say anything in front of her. I didn't say anything while she was at home. I waited till we were out and away from the whole situation, but I brought it up to her. I said, hey, you allow your daughter to have, I said, it's okay if you allow your daughter to have her boyfriend over there. I said, but he's bringing his friend over there. I said, that's 2 guys in your house with your daughter.
Mm.
I'm like, to me, as a father, that is a no-no. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
cool if the boyfriend is coming over there because you know him. This other guy, the friend thing, no, ma'am. I'm like, I grew up with all girls, all sisters. I'm the only boy. So I'm very overprotective. I just went into brother daddy mode automatically. And I was like, that doesn't look right. she kind of took it to heart, you know, like in the wrong way. Like, oh, well, you know, they're young and stuff, da da da. I'm like, well, that's my whole point. They're young and they do dumb things, you know. And at this day and age, with kids being exposed to sex at so early of an age, you're not home. So anything could have happened while you were not there. And I just wouldn't be comfortable, first of all, with them being there alone and I'm not there with adult supervision, you know, unless they're in their late 20s or something like that. But these were teenagers. And I was like, that just doesn't ride with me. And, you know, we talked about it and the relationship we ended up breaking up, but we're good friends now.
Mhm.
We still talk about the relationships and that particular situation on how it could have been handled better and whatnot. But my thing is, when you're in a protective mode and that's what you're used to doing, some females have to realize when a guy is saying, hey, you know, I don't think that's cool, da da da, you know, he's thinking protective mode. He's not trying to say your daughter's out there bad or anything like that, or your son or whatever. It's just protective mode, because if you've been in the world, you have a little age on you and you've seen things firsthand, you're trying to protect the next person to keep that from happening to them. Now, if I'd just been like, hey, I don't care if she had 10, 20 guys over there, then what?
Right.
If something would have happened, you'd have been like, why didn't you say something? Why did you do something? Well, I can easily say, well, that's your house. That's, you know, that's what you're allowed to have. But when we speak on things, sometimes I think sometimes the ladies and vice versa, the men need to understand it's protective mode. We're not trying to downgrade or anything like that, or belittle. It's protective mode. We're just trying to look out.
So Nelsa, let me ask you something from your perspective. So when you're dating, and that topic of conversation comes up from a man, you know, having children, do you have a certain number that makes you raise an eyebrow? Like if a man has, I don't know, more than a couple of children or a couple of baby mamas, what's your thoughts or feels on that?
Well, I'll be honest. The younger, my younger self, like when I was just single, like before married with kids, that would have been a turnoff to me that a man had multiple babies by multiple women. The older version of me understands that life happens, and um, you know, sometimes in your youth, you might make decisions that you wouldn't make as you get older. So I'm a lot more reasonable, I think, about that. Really, what matters to me is, because I've been an educator, I'm a retired educator, it really matters to me how a man treats his children and what sort of relationship he has with his children. That to me speaks volumes. Um, if you are not in good relationship with your children and you don't have a good reason for it, like, I, I don't know. To me, it's just, as a mom, I can't imagine my children not being in my life. So for a man who maybe has allowed himself, like, I want to know that you fought for your kids. And I've dated someone who, had a really long, drawn out custody battle over one of his children, and is still kind of in a place of limbo a little bit. And he's a great dad, like really has gone to bat for his child, all his children. He has, two um, ex-wives, and the first set of kids by one wife, and then the last child is by another, and had a really great relationship with the first ex. They worked together well, even lived not too far apart from each other to be able to raise the children together and that kind of thing. And then the second wife, it was a bit more contentious and wasn't a great breakup. And so have really seen the struggle. But, to me, just from what I have observed, he was just a great dad and really went to bat, trying to make sure he got to stay in all his kids' life. So to me, it just matters, like, are you trying to be there for your children? Are you trying to do right by your kids? Are you trying to have a relationship with your kids? I'm not saying everybody has a different love language, even as parents. I think not just in a relationship. Every parent doesn't show their love the same way as another. But now, if you are out here in this dating pool and you find somebody who hasn't been married nor has children, that's like rare. And
That's,
so you
that's
really have to decide in yourself if you're going to date somebody. Um, there are going to be some compromises maybe to what you said you wanted to get everything. Everybody has these lists, and I did too, and I probably still do. If I'm really being honest with myself, there's some deal breakers that need to be checked to make sure like we're going to be compatible. But for me, I really don't want anyone with younger children necessarily, because my youngest is turning 16 next week. And so to start over as a mommy with little bitty babies when I'm about to be somebody's grandma you know, or BB, because my nickname starts with a B. So I said I'm going to be a BB, but I don't think so. I don't want to do that. I think I'm in good health. I don't think I look my age, but I remember getting up in the middle of the night and my baby's crying and I didn't know what it was, what was wrong with them. I didn't know what to do. And to start that all over again, I kept my cousin's kids when they were babies overnight for a couple times. And I was like, dear God in heaven, what am I doing? I can't do this anymore. So I'd be like, listen, they got to be a little older before they can spend the night with me. And that's rare, because my energy level for that age group is so different now. It's just like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. I need like 2 weekends to recover after babysitting.
They'll wear you out.
Oh God.
Nelsa, let's talk about something that I saw in the comments for some of our listeners that chimed in. And I saw a lot of ladies stating that they want a guy that can understand when something comes up, that it's not that they're not interested, it's just that they have to attend to their children.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that seems fair and reasonable. However, I feel like sometimes the staying busy or being busy can also be used as a cheap excuse to not see somebody, because there's an old saying, ain't nobody busier than somebody that don't want to see you.
Right.
So to me, when a woman says that, you do have to also put it out there that, hey, look, I am genuinely interested in you, or I genuinely want to go out with you, just this weekend is not a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a man, we need that reassurance that, hey, I am interested in you. It's just that I got this thing going on with my child this weekend, or we're going to an AAU basketball game or something. But put it out there that, hey, I am genuinely looking forward to spending time with you. Because if you do not put that out there and you just say that, hey, I'm busy this weekend, then to a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
that can seem like, hey, she's just blowing me off and she's just trying to push me away or trying to get me to leave her alone. And if you are interested, and just say, hey, I am interested, but this weekend's just not a good weekend. Next weekend, I don't have my kids. Let's do it next weekend, that kind of thing. So that way, for men, I feel like you have to be very direct, because sometimes men don't read between the lines when it comes to stuff like that. So you do have to be frank and direct that, hey, I am interested, but this weekend's not a good weekend.
So Chuck, have you lost anybody's interest because either one, you were too busy with your children, or two, you couldn't coordinate with them because, you know, both of you just couldn't make it work with your schedules? What?
A lot of times, with the technology that we have today, and and I agree with what Jorge is saying. You got to make sure that you let the person know that you're genuinely interested in them and stuff. But I've had people tell me, "Oh, well, this is not a good weekend. I'm gonna be busy." Da da da. And then I look on Facebook or Twitter or something, and they had a party turned.
Ooh. But
Oh,
maybe they were
snap.
busy already. They had already planned the party,
He was
Chuck. They
busy.
already planned it.
Hey, I've seen some of that too, and I'm like, man, you sure are busy at that
Yeah,
pool hanging out.
yeah.
They already made plans, guys. Come on.
So,
Oh man.
so my
Hey,
thing,
listen, I've seen that too. I've seen that, but you know, I got too much pride. I'll be like, all right, cool.
hey,
I'll take the hint. I'll
yeah,
leave it at that.
take that one, but I look at it like this because I have a lot of things that I participate in that are outside of the military because I ride motorcycles. I'm in a motorcycle club. I coach. I'm constantly working around the house. And a lot of times I tell females like, hey, if I do something on the weekend, if you want to spend time with me, and some women may agree, some women may not, but it's going to be a family event if you're trying to get to know me because I want you to see exactly what it is that I'm doing. So if I'm saying I'm busy, it's if it's military work, hey, I can't involve you in that. But if it's just me with the kids and I know, hey, like, we're going down to Myrtle Beach or we're going to be here or we're going to be at Dave and Buster's, because at that point in time, I'm like, I can, spend a little time with you and spend some time with the kids and everything. But if I say, hey, I'm busy, I can't actually do it this weekend, I'm going to give you the reason why. You're not going to look on Facebook or Twitter and see me at Black Bike Weekend or something like that. Going burn.
Yeah, I'm busy having fun, living my
Yeah,
best
With
life.
somebody with a two-piece on behind you, right?
but now I will say this. Because I've had this one situation where the female she was involved in a lot of stuff, and I was just like, okay, our schedules were just like crazy. And one time I was like, well, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, this weekend is not good. Okay, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, this weekend is not good. I'm sitting here like, well, what the hell? Like, really? I spent the whole freaking month and you're busy. So then when her time is available, it's like, oh, well, what are you doing? I'm not busy this weekend. I'm sorry. Like, it looked like I got to get with you like in a year in advance just to weekend.
Wow.
I don't have time for it. You know what I'm saying?
And
So
that's really a turnoff, though, isn't it? Like when nobody seems like they have the same energy behind trying to get with you to, engage or whatever. Like you just lose the energy for that,
but the crazy thing about it, Nelson, is like I say I like doing do it yourself projects. I cut my own grass. I can do this. I can do plumbing. I can do electrical. Oh, you can do all this. Hey, can you come to my house and do this? They have time for you then.
Ooh.
Hey,
Oh,
what are
that's
you doing
not
this weekend?
good.
Do you want to go out to eat? Oh, nah, I'm busy. Or the kids have something going on. Your kid's 30. Like,
He's
Listen,
30 years
hey,
old.
yeah,
you
your
don't have
kid's
to worry
30.
about taking me out to eat. You can do all of that. You come on over and I'm gonna fix you a plate. Look.
Yeah. Like, no, but
Oh
That
my
is
gosh.
and,
okay.
and for me, I have a big heart. The way I was raised, I'm kind of old school. I treat everybody with kindness and respect. I'll do for anybody, complete stranger. I'll do for anybody. And a lot of times I've been burnt that way because they know, oh, I don't have anybody to cut my grass. Okay, I go over there. Her boyfriend's laid up on the couch.
No.
Really? You got nobody to cut your grass. You leave
Oh, that's so
a
uncouth.
man and he can get out and cut your grass. Okay. Hey, I tell you what, this is my last time coming here doing this.
Oof. Yeah,
And I hope she
that's
paid.
a swipe left.
Look, did you get paid at least?
Me and her had been knowing each other for a while. We had some dealings. I told her how I felt about her and everything and stuff. She did tell me she was dating, but I said, well, hey, I help you out, what I'm saying? Because she had just bought a house and moved in, the grass was high. But when dude popped up, like right when I finished everything,
Mm-hmm.
like, are you serious?
Yeah, that's a slap in the face. That's so disrespectful.
Yeah, that's
Like,
rude.
you couldn't have told this dude to come over, like, wait till he leave before you.
At least have the decency to fool me a little bit.
Exactly.
Let me ask you guys something, since you guys both are parents, because I do see this a lot as well, where a lot of people who have children will say, and I've even seen this on dating profiles where, hey, I have children, but I'm not looking for a stepdad. Or in your scenario, Chuck, a stepmom. What is your feeling towards that? Is that possible? Can you seriously date somebody and not take on that kind of role at some point? Is that possible?
So to hear that come out, when if I read that and I've came across it, and I had a female tell me that, she's like, well, I'm not looking to be nobody's stepmom and stuff, I'm like, look, my kids' moms, they're alive. They know who their mom is. They know who their dad is. I'm not looking for you to come in and play, be a stepmom if that's the case. But then at the same time, don't expect me to do for your kids and you don't do for mine.
Mm-hmm.
So don't draw that line, but then you want to jump across it when it's convenient for you.
Man, I hadn't even thought about it like that. That's a great point. Nelsa, what's your take?
No, again, I was an educator. Now, while I know, worst case scenario, I don't want to necessarily be involved with a man who has a very young child. But if that's the person that my heart wants, and everything else is appropriate and all the stars are aligned, then yeah, I was a teacher. I love kids. And the fact that I'm just, at an age where I feel like I'm not in the raising of a younger child stage doesn't mean that I couldn't take on somebody's, family and love them. And uh, funny story, um, you know, my heart daughter is from a former relationship. And when things didn't work out in that relationship, I loved her. I loved her for herself. And I said to her, even before things, didn't work out, that if anything did ever happen, I always wanted her to be a part of my life as long as she wanted to be a part of my life. And so it worked out where that's exactly what happened. And while I don't deal anymore in that relationship with her dad, it was, you know, it was good for us. It was a good relationship for us. And so, I'm like that with other people that I've been in a relationship with them. If I love somebody, I love you for you. If it's the kids, the dog, whatever, the parents that of the person, um, I don't just cut people out of my life just because I'm no longer in relationship with that person. So my thing is, I can't imagine somebody saying that, like, I don't want to be a part of your kid's life. It's just us. Like, us is the package deal. Look, all of us is including my mama. As a matter of fact, I'm an only child. So you get my mom, you get a bonus mom too. So in that case, I'm just like, people just gotta really, um, I don't know. People just don't think, do they? Like, how are you gonna tell somebody I don't want to be a stepmom and you're going to be in relationship with that person? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't know how you do that. And I'm a parent, so, but even if I wasn't, I still don't know how you do that, because if I was dating somebody who had children, they're a package deal in my mind. And if they're not, I got a problem with that man. If you're willing to cut your kids out your life for me, what would you do to me?
So I will say this, with the last girlfriend that I had who had her son, and obviously there's a lot about parenting that I don't know because I do not have children. So I literally started reading up on how to be a good stepdad, because I knew, and she told me, like, hey, look, if you're interested in me, then me and my son are a package deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already like doing research and reading up and listening to podcasts about, like, some of the little nuances about being a stepdad and how you can transition into that role smoothly. Because to me, outside looking in, I don't see how you can go into a serious relationship with that mindset that, yeah, I don't plan on being a stepdad, or yeah, I don't plan on being a stepmom. Like, to me, even if it's just going to events, or picking up a child or taking them to practice, or even little stuff like that, I still think that you're going to have to play some sort of role in that capacity. And to just pretend that that's not going to come up or that's not going to be necessary, I can't fathom that, in my opinion.
I mean, sometimes you gotta watch out for that, because I've had situations where I'm saying, hey, I'm taking the kids out to Dave and Buster's. Do you want to tag along with us? Oh, no, y'all go, have y'all family time together. Like, seriously? Like, if we're trying to get to know each other and I'm inviting you out to be with me and my kids, I mean, I never said it was something I just wanted to do with them. I'm inviting you along with it. Why are you refusing it? And I kind of look at that as a red flag also.
Yeah, and to me that could go both ways. Like, it could be that she is trying to be respectful of your, private family moment, or it could be that, things are moving quick, or maybe things are heating up and maybe she's not ready to go at that pace that maybe you would like. Because I know that can happen, because I have had a similar situation where I was seeing somebody, we were exclusive, and I invited her on a couple of family cookouts that we did, and she refused both of them. And I thought that was kind of strange. And it wasn't like legitimate reasons like, hey, I got to work, or hey, my grandma was at the hospital. It was just, oh, no, I got this thing going on with my friend, or, my friend is doing this. And I thought that was rather strange, that I'm like, hey, if you're really trying to work on us and get to know each other, and then I'm inviting you to be part of my family, and you decline both times, that to me showed me that, hey, she's not into me like I thought she was, or she's not ready. Either or, it's not a good sign.
She was afraid those aunties that was going to sit down.
She's probably like, oh, hell, this is getting too hot way too quick.
Because that's what most women are looking for. Like, a man that introduces you to his family tends to be like, we're moving, like we're getting somewhere. And then she's like running from it. What the what? Okay, so last question before we head out. It's been a great show. Thank you so much, Chuck, for joining us tonight. For everybody who participated in our Facebook roundtable talk, I guess is the best way to put it on our post. But what are the deal breakers for you? What's your main deal breaker, Chuck? If you're dating someone with children, what's the one thing that has to happen or cannot happen for this relationship to move forward?
It would have to be communication. And when I say communication, I'm not just saying between me and her, and I don't think we talked about it, but me, her, the kids' fathers, kids' mothers, everybody has to be communicating, because if we're going to be a family, if she has if the father's still alive, he's in the kid's life and everything, I want to communicate with both sides openly. You know what I'm saying? So that way, if we're communicating and we're all on the same sheet of music, then that child is going to feel more loved than anything, because he's going to be like, okay, hey, my dad is talking to my mom, my dad, and everybody's talking, everybody gets along. It's not just, oh, well, when I go to my daddy's house, my daddy let me do this. Or when I go to my mama's house, she let me do this. The deal breaker to me is communication. And we all can't
know how to work, don't they?
Yeah. So if we all can't be on the same sheet of music, it's a deal breaker, because what's going to happen is going to bring tension in between me and her, and then it's tension between me and the child's father, because there's four different stories going on there. My side, the child's side, the mother's side, the father's side, and in between all of that, somewhere lies the truth.
Right.
We communicate. We all got to sit down and talk. Hey, I'm dating your ex and everything and stuff. I just want to let you know I will be around your child and everything, but I will treat your child like, he or she is mine. You got to have that conversation. And a lot of times we don't have those conversations, and there's a lot of tension. So when dad comes around, it's like, well, who bought you this, or who did this, or who done that? I'm not trying to show you out, but I'm trying to be there for this child as well. And I don't want you to have any ill feelings about that. So that's why if we can't have that communication, that's a deal breaker for me.
Okay. All right, Poppy.
I mean, to me, I think at this day and age, anybody that dates in this, era, it's expected, right, that people are going to be have children for the most part. That usually is the norm. So to me, if a woman has kids, I assume that's something that's pretty normal this day and age. However, my thing is, are you going to be able to make time for us? Because if you can make time for us, I can be patient, I can be understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and I can, respect your family time, as long as when you make time for us, it's about us. So that would be my thing, that, if you're a single parent, you also have to be real with yourself and realize, hey, do I really have the availability and time that's required to genuinely build something with someone?
Okay. I think it's a combination of those two for me. We've got to be able to communicate. You don't ghost me. Don't just leave me hanging high and dry. We make plans. You're always, checking out on me. The kids always take precedence, and I never get any of your time. I think it's a combo pack, because I think we have to have some face-to-face time, have to have some alone time, but we also need good communication, like we always say here on the relationship cycle. If you don't have a good foundation, which is communication, then how do you build from there? So we just want to thank everybody again for participating in our Facebook surveys. And thank you, Chuck, for joining us. It has been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank
We
you.
wish you well on your dating journey. Hopefully, we all will find that mystical, whatever it is that
Love, mystical
leads
love.
us to the leads us to the promised land.
Oh yeah.
Great
Absolutely.
conversation. A pleasure. You guys have a good day and a good evening.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us today on the Relationship Cycle with Jorge and Nelsa. Do you have show ideas? Email us at jorgeandnelsa@gmail.com. Follow us on Spotify or anchor.fm for more great shows.